Hey there, folks. My name is Kai, and I am a bit of a rambler. I like to travel, learn, and tell stories. And today we're going to ramble on. So, I was about to get to China, to Beijing, to all my friends, and really just a few close friends, and then some acquaintances. But it's been a long time since I saw my close friends. Wait a minute, I didn't finish Busan. Busan, fancy crab dinner. Yeah, I don't have that. In previous episodes, was it the last night in Busan? It might have been. But the last night I thought I did the giant seaweed party. So whatever. One of the last. Anyway, I was walking along the coast as I did every day because that's the way I get to the all-you-can-eat buffet. And it's the Busan coast, so it's beautiful and a lovely walk with 20-foot wide sidewalks. It's so nice. And how did I get? Oh, I walked around the entire district of Haeundae, and on my way back, before I hit the buffet, which I was just gonna, it was night. It was like 11:30. It was really late at night, and I was just gonna hey, finger gun at the buffet I go to every day, and then keep on walking. And a couple blocks, not even. I think it was one street, not a full block, but one alleyway behind. So maybe 50 feet beyond the entrance, right before I got to the entrance of the building that was closed because it's midnight. I saw a restaurant for crab. And the thing is, when I was in Japan talking to those tile people I mentioned, the wife's friend stopped in. She had just come back from South Korea, and she said that the crab in South Korea was the best she's ever had. And I take that with a grain of salt because you hear that a lot, not specifically about crab, but people who don't travel often, when they try something in a new setting, it usually becomes the best thing they've ever had because their palate is so used to their routine, basically, their city, their setting. So when they try something that might be as good or maybe not as good, but with a new flair on it, and this is totally legitimate. That it makes total sense why people would say that. I just always take it with a grain of salt because anybody who goes somewhere for a weekend, especially if they're spending a lot of money, a lot of the time it seems like they want to believe that, yeah, I spent $600 going to this one restaurant, but it was worth it because I spent $600. So grain of salt, but I was interested because I hadn't had a big, I don't know if I've ever had a big crab dinner at a sit-down restaurant. I've certainly had seafood buffets, and those have been amazing. But I not even at a sit-down dinner. I've certainly had crab dinner. I've never, by myself, chosen to go into a restaurant and thrown down for a fresh crab dinner. So I walked in there, and I asked the lady if I could see the menu, and it was like $50, $60, I can't, for one crab. It was roughly that much, US dollars. And I was like, that is a lot. And all-you-can-eat buffets with all-you-can-eat crab, I have had some amazing crab at some all-you-can-eat buffets before. So I was like, it's probably not worth it. And I went outside. But, I told the lady in Japan, you know what, I'm going to try the crab when I go to South Korea then. And I'm thinking, what if it is the best crab I've ever had and I'm just a caveman? So I went back in and I asked her if I could see the crabs because I asked her, are they fresh crabs? Yes. So I asked if I could see the crabs, and they have a straight up, not aquarium, but they have large, well oxygenated tanks with very healthy crabs, not sitting there, moving around, coming up against the glass and stuff, like puppies at a pound, which is a great metaphor because I selected one, the first one that caught my eye. And she went back and snipped out its brain, which is the humane way to kill a crab, in case you don't know. And yeah, it was cool that she let me back there to see their operation. And it was, again, Busan, so it was spotless. It was incredibly clean. The tanks were spotless. The crabs, like I said, looked super healthy and energetic. And then she humanely dispatched this crab in a second and then steamed it up, took me to my table, and she brought out 3 different rounds of side dishes so that I literally had about a dozen side dishes before the crab even came out. And I was just eating kimchi and whatever, pickled ginger or whatever the heck. Now, pickled ginger is the normal thing. I got so much good stuff. Ooh, and I got one fried pancake. Oh, I love all the fried pancakes in different Asian countries. Like, I like the Chinese jianbing probably the best, but maybe that's just because I've eaten it the most. But when you get a good fried pancake, which is popular in East Asia, and for some reason we just make cake. We make pancakes. U.S. pancakes are too bready and sugary, and for me, I like a thinner, tougher, savory pancake. I don't like a lot of sugar, except every now and then I buy a lemon tart cake for myself. So what am I talking about? I do like sugar. I'm just a dummy. It's exactly what I was just talking about. Oh, look, I traveled, so the other food is better. I'm the same thing I'm complaining about. Anyway, I love savory Asian pancakes, as they're called when you translate it to English. I don't know what the Korean one's called. I only know the Chinese name for one for those. And I probably knew the Japanese one when I was in Japan. But as soon as I leave a country, if it's not Chinese, the language gets relegated to the back of my mind. And I'm like, when I go back to that country, we'll just bring it back to the forefront. But until then, it's basically all locked in a vault. Annyeonghaseyo. Thanks, Korea. What was I talking about? Side dishes. So I'm already happy eating these side dishes. And one of them, dang it, I gotta find a picture of the side dishes. Yeah, let me check. Okay, I found the picture. But of course, for the first time forever, my internet is slowed down. I don't know why. So it's loading like a 90s nude dancer page on the internet with a 56K modem. So I'm just waiting for the side dishes to load. This is so funny that it's this is how it's loading. Oh, bacon. That was it. Okay. There was a dish of Korean bacon, which is very thick cut. And usually it has a lot of fat. These only had one thin strip of fat in the middle, and then either side was tasty pig belly. And then I got 3 sauces. Okay, in the pancake, I'm seeing pickled spicy cucumbers, egg corn potato salad, something, can't recognize it, kimchi, tofu. Oh, and my pickled bean sprouts, which are like my favorite. But dude, that bacon, she brought that out and I ate that and I was like, I don't know if you should bring this out before you're about to serve a crab dinner, because 4 thick cut pieces of perfectly cooked bacon, like, why even get a crab? And this is incidental. It says the side dishes you can order for 5,000 won, and the crab dish was 70 or 80,000 won something. I don't know if those numbers are correct. I guess I can check. Nah, never mind. I don't care. I'm not going to check. But the price of all of the side dishes was like $2 maybe. It was like nothing versus this fancy crab dinner that I got. And after I ate the bacon, I was like, oh my God, I could have just got this bacon. Like, that would have been good for me. And I had a draft beer too that they had. I was just like, if you're going to go have a fancy dinner, let's have a nice draft beer with everything as well, because you're going to have so many interesting savory flavors. And then she brought out the crab. And the crab was immaculately prepared. It was beautiful. And it was staged well. It was in a square bamboo tray on top of a hot steaming thing so it would stay hot. And I cracked open one of those giant legs and ate the crab meat, and it was good. It was probably the best crab meat I have had. That's probably not true. It was good crab meat. I will say that it was very good crab meat, and obviously extremely fresh. Like, I chose it. I saw her kill it. She steamed it. She brought it straight out to me 10 minutes later. It was extremely fresh. They catch them right off the coast there. This was extremely fresh crab, no doubt, and it tasted extremely fresh, and the subtle flavor was very good. She brought out a hot pot that I think I was supposed to put the crab in. I was just like not into that at all. I just wanted to test the flavor of this crab if it was as good as I heard about. And the flavor and freshness of the crab was amazing. But I really like Chinese food, and they have a brown seafood sauce that they fry clams and crab and all sorts of seafood in. And I don't even think there's a name for it, because I've never seen it explicitly listed as like a brown sauce on any menu, and there's not a type of dish that it is, and it's not in one region or another, although it seems to be more popular in the north of China than the south, because the south of China, they just steam and boil everything, and they don't add on sauces. It's very bland food in the south of China. But in the north of China, you have a lot of the stronger, saltier, savory sauces and flavors and all that stuff. So there's this brown sauce, and I was like, boy, this crab's good. And if you were just trying to be a fancy boy with elegant crab dining, I get this is very good. But that bacon knocked me on my ass, and that brown sauce that is so popular in certain places in China is insane and complements seafood so well. So I did like the crab a lot. I'm very happy I went and got a big fancy dinner for myself so that I don't have to worry what a big fancy spread is like if I see that again sometime. And it was fun buying a big fancy dinner. But if I was there another week, I would probably go to that place and just get the side dishes for $2. Because that's insane. They're so good, and they cost basically nothing, because they're like, well, everyone's coming here for the crab. Guess what? Give me the soybeans and the bacon and the savory pancake. That's my Jim Jams. Give me that crepe. So I did have a very nice crab dinner of a like that I have not enjoyed before, and I was very happy and felt very privileged to be able to do that, and that this place was open until midnight, and I just rolled up at 11:30, and she was like, yeah, totally, I'm ready to do it. I'll show you my crabs, and you can choose the one you like from the tanks, and we'll dispatch it and steam it up for you, and you'll have it 10 minutes later with a draft beer and all these delicious dishes. Yes, it was wonderful. There's no denying that. It was just, I'm not going to pay $60 for that crab again next time. If you can give me 10 plates of that bacon for $20? Yes, please. Plus all the pickled spicy bean sprouts I can eat and kimchi. Good gracious. And 20 flippin' savory pancakes. Maybe it was like $5, but I don't think it was. I think it was like 5,000 won. I think it was $2 or something crazy like that. Anyway, I had to bring that up because that was a significant thing. Like, I had basically promised this lady in Korea or in Japan that I was going to try it when I went to Korea, and then I was in Korea, and I was just passing by at the right time, and it was right there, and the crabs were healthy and everything seemed right, and I left because I was like, no, it's too expensive. And then I was like, no, man, this is an experience that right now in your life you are able to enjoy. So yeah, it's silly for you to spend whatever it was, $60 on a crab. But I mean, you'll remember it. This is an experience. Like, life, who knows how much life we all have. Enjoy it. Like, experience what you can while you can, you lucky SOB. And so I did, and I'm very happy I did. I was right on the coast where they fish these crabs from. It was wild. It was great. It's a great experience. Okay, I will say this about the restaurant. That is the most energetic I have ever seen any crabs ever in my life. They were all like hopped up. Like, they weren't like churning the water, but they were just moving around curious, like like they were in the ocean on the hunt. They looked like real moving crab. And they're big too. These were like larger than your ribcage sized crab. They could give you a hug, basically. These are big old crabolos. That was cool. That was one of the last things in Busan, and I wanted to mention that. Next on the list is China, baby, is Beijing, baby, my friends. So I land in Beijing. I get up. It's incredibly easy to get to the airport. Oh, I told you that that girl was digging her nose, and I was like, that's China, baby, back home. And shoot, I can't remember if I actually saw her on the flight. I don't know. But I land in Beijing, and the air is so gross still. And I was so bummed out, even though I know it was because I did visit like a couple years ago, and the air was still gross. Now, I want to bring this up because like the air's not gross in China. China is an enormous country. It's literally to the acre, almost the exact same size as the United States, including Alaska. China's huge. So when you're not inside a city, the air is clean. And that's not just because it's huge, but because Chinese people love, even more than US Americans who love, living in population centers. They are an urban people. They amass. That's why you have Chinatowns in every country, because when they move somewhere, they get together and they stay together. So everyone in China, 4 times the population of the United States, 1.5 billion-ish, are living in cities. And there are a lot of cities, and 1.5 billion is a lot of people, but globally, it's not that many people to fit into a space, especially with apartment buildings that can hold a couple, 10,000 people maybe. That's not that many. But I mean, 2,000 people, and they have thousands of those buildings, so that's millions of people in every city. It adds up. They are in population centers. So if you are not in these cities in China, you'll be shocked at how clean the air is. It's quite clean. And the water is probably not as clean, actually, to be honest. Okay, China never made a Clean Water and Air Act. If Xi Jinping hadn't seized power, they probably would have enacted one, just because I think that's the most embarrassing thing about China, aesthetically, visually, presentably. Like, the human rights abuses are awful. Like, no social security, all these kinds of things that are terrible, like, politically in the country. Those are a problem, but they work so hard to pretend that they're such an advanced country. But if you land in Beijing, which so when the Olympics happens, or when the president lands in Beijing, they literally shut off all of the coal factories in the city, and they pump in electricity from other cities. And they do that specifically so that you won't see the smog. And that's what I mean. The smog, it's so embarrassing for a country that wants to say it's an advanced country. And they are, look, no lie, they're building twice as much solar power every year. They're installing, just one country, China, is installing twice as much solar power as the other 199 countries in the world combined. So they are doing their part in terms of renewable tech. And they have the most advanced renewable tech. They've won the race on solar panels and EVs. And I don't know about chip manufacturing. If Biden got the Taiwan people TSMC, but Trump has totally messed that up. So I'm pretty sure because of Trump that the horse is out of the horse. He's off the cart. China they were already inching forward ahead of everybody else with EVs. And with 8 years of scientific regression under Trump, the US, I mean, I do not see how the US could possibly catch up to the technological progression that China has been able to pull ahead with because of the scientific regression under Trump. And you can see it. Their BYD, their EVs are taking over Europe and Australia. Certainly, they're completely taking over Asia. They're getting into South America. It's just and solar panels are completely everywhere. They're only Chinese. There's no other country that's coming close to manufacturing renewable green technologies like China is. But this is what I'm saying. They're so far ahead in those renewable green technologies. When you land in Beijing still in 2026, 7, whatever, it's crazy because it's still smoggy and it does not need to be. They have filters that you can literally put on smokestacks, and that's where all the smog is coming from. They've replaced so many of their cars with electric cars at this point. The smog is not coming from the cars. Some of it's coming from the car tires and some of it's coming from the cars, but primarily it's coming from these fossil fuel power plants close to Beijing. So when a diplomat flies in or whatever, they shut down the coal plant, or an event's going on, they shut down the coal plants. You have a clear blue sky in Beijing. And when you go to China, you can ask anybody who lives in Beijing. It's called Lantian, which is blue sky day. Lantian. That's literally like blue day, but they mean it's a blue sky day. And they're not like, Lantian, blah, blah. Lantian usually means they shut down the coal plants today. But they have the technology. And if you Google look up any city, look up Dubai, right? Look up Dubai. It's a huge, popular, very boring seeming town. I haven't been there. Is it fun? Someone let me know if Dubai is fun. Someone just came back from there. I was never interested in going there. And someone just came back and they were like, it's pretty boring. You don't have to go to Dubai. And I was like, but then how will I climb that skyscraper that Tom Cruise did in MI5? 4, 6, 5? And they're like, don't worry, that technology he used to climb the skyscraper isn't real anyway. And I was like, guy, don't you remember the technology failed? He only had one of them. And he's like, yeah, but one is still the technology. That isn't real. So I think it's crazy that China is putting all of this effort into pretending and being, honestly, an advanced green renewable country, but they won't make their capital city that everybody goes to look amazing. Okay, I brought up Dubai because Google images of any place you want. Dublin, Ireland, Marrakesh, Morocco, I don't know the capital of Tanzania. Wow, I gotta go to Tanzania. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I guess maybe Africa's next. I've only been to Morocco. Maybe Africa's next. But you can look up any city you want to around the world, and if you look at the Google images or whatever your search engine is images, those are real pictures of that city. If you look up Beijing, China, look at the sky behind the city. They are all doctored photos. It's very clearly not a real blue sky, because true blue skies where there's no smog so that you can see that is obscuring the blue sky is very rare in Beijing. So there are almost no pictures on the internet, and the first 100 results in whatever search image like you look for are going to be fake blue. Basically, really just Photoshop, select this area, make it look blue even though it's gray. And the city is still gray, and that sucks, but you know what? I'm visiting my friends. I'm only going to be there a couple weeks. I can handle it. And I don't even think it's as bad as it used to be, because it's not great, for sure. Stepping off the plane, I instantly tasted the smog. And I haven't been in a dirty air city, a smoggy city in a long time, because that's one thing I notice more than anything else. And it's funny that I lived in China for 6 years, 3.5 in Beijing, just sucking it up. But landing there after so long, living in non-smoggy areas, as soon as I stepped off the plane, my nose was just assaulted with like smoke and metallic odors, and it's just the smell is right there, and it's not pleasant. So I was bummed out because I was hoping against hope, just why not? Maybe I would land and they would have decided, you know what, let's just fix the smog this year, and there would be no smog, and I'd land, I'd see my friends, And they'd be like, hey, why don't you just stay here? I'd be like, okay, I can do that now because the air isn't disgusting. No such luck. It's still smoggy. So I do think, I honestly believe that 1 year soon, they're going to click onto this unless they try to annex Taiwan and then they get in a war and everything will regress. But if they keep doing what they're doing and just trying to look good, they're going to realize, Xi Jinping is going to realize some year soon that they're still an embarrassment because of the smog. That is embarrassing to claim that you're an advanced nation and to choose to have dirty air for 30 million people living in your capital city. And I think 1 year he's going to realize that, and they'll just put filters on all the smokestacks, and then that'll be that, and it'll just be done. Then it'll be like a utopian city, except for the human rights abuses and the 100% surveillance and AI face matching and all that kind of stuff. But it's an incredibly convenient city to live in, which is what I want to talk about, because the smog is still there, but like every single other trip I have taken to Beijing since I left 7 years ago, I've stopped over now and then to see friends or stopped by for a week or whatever, and it changes by the month. And I'm there every year or two, and it's just insane how rapidly everything is advancing in Beijing compared to every other country that I stop by similarly. Like the US is a little, politically much worse, but technologically and infrastructurally, the exact same except for deterioration as it was 15 years ago when I left the first time. Beijing is a generation ahead, or two, honestly, a generation or two ahead in infrastructural technology and convenience and comfort for its regular citizens. It is so crazy. When I showed up 15 years ago, everyone still used cash. It was a cash country. And even credit cards were like, and some hotels took them. But local credit cards, it just wasn't a thing. Now, 15 years later, they have finally integrated foreign credit cards into their national payment system through WeChat. This is a revolution, and I can tell that because there is a crazy amount of non-Chinese people in Beijing now. I still get looked at in Beijing, but when I was in Beijing, I was one of one. I was one of my school. Me and my school people who worked at my school, the other foreign teachers, we were the only foreigners I knew other than other schools. But when I was walking down the street in Beijing, I never saw a non-Chinese person ever 15 years ago. Even when I left, it was super rare to see other non-Chinese people. 7 years later, however long it's been, Beijing was packed with foreigners. And it was, some Chinese people when I was in Beijing this trip asked me wow, you're white. I don't see foreigners a lot. This is crazy. And I was like, if you go 2 blocks north, there's 50 of them walking down the street. It's weird. There's a bunch of us. And he was really surprised to hear that. But they all stay in their neighborhood, so he probably never walks that far north. I think it was literally 1 block north, and I was telling him, they're right up there. But you know what? They are concentrated. They do stay in, hostels, near the hostels and near the places. As soon as I went away from the touristy areas, there were 0 tourists. There were 0 non-Chinese people again. So that's where I spent a lot of my time while I was in Beijing. Okay, let me try and go in order here. Okay, so I get into the Beijing airport, and again, they advance so quickly, so I'm just looking around whoa, this airport is advanced. Everything is different. I've been to the Peking Beijing airport, I literally don't know how many times. I'll say 40 times, many, many times. And I land this time, and it's only been 2 years since the last time I was there, but it was getting a little more streamlined every time, and now everything is streamlined. The things are electric. They have those electric gates that just scan your passport and go. And I did have to talk to an immigration guard, but I wasn't waiting in line that long. And it's Beijing Airport. There were, I don't know how many, let's say 300 people probably in line ahead of me to go through customs. I got through it in like 15 minutes, I'll say. It was just 20 people a minute, just going straight through. It was very efficient. And they recently added so many 70 countries or something to 10-day visa-free travel. So they must have realized we're going to have to revamp our entire immigration system, because if we're going to let all these people, we're going to have a lot more tourists coming to Beijing, and they are right, and they are getting those, especially with medical tourism. That stuff's gone up 400% in the last 5 years in Beijing because it's so cheap. They finally invested in their medical infrastructure in the past couple of years, and I wouldn't have gone there 15 years ago. Now I'm considering medical tourism in China, especially because I can speak Mandarin. I'll feel a lot more comfortable going there than a lot of other countries. Probably not more than Thailand, though, because they all speak English, and I know their medical care is top-notch for longer than the past 5 years. But it's just, I mean, the hospitals and the airport, they all just look amazing. So anyway, I'm going through immigration. I get up to the counter. Dude sees me, and he asks me, what are you doing here? And I'm like, 我是游客，我有朋友在这里，是很久我没看见他们. Which is like, I'm here for just traveling. I have friends here, and it's been a long time since I've seen them, so we're just seeing my friends. And he's like, 会中文. He's excited I can speak Chinese. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, cool, so where are you staying? And I told him, and he's like, okay, great. And then he's tip-tapping on his computer, and then there's like one security guard walking back and forth, or immigration officer, I guess, between all the different counters, like the one in charge, shift manager, whatever. And he comes over, and in halting English, he asks me like, and why are you visit here, Beijing? And then the guy behind the counter is like, 他会中文，没事了. Which is like, he can speak Chinese, it's not a problem. And the walking one is like, oh, okay. And he goes away. But like the one behind the counter wanted to, like, you know, claim ownership of the tourist who can speak Mandarin, because it's so funny. That happens a lot. Like if you can speak any Mandarin, you go with your friends. If you speak Mandarin, and then like the waitress or hotel clerk or whatever is like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't understand your foreign friend. Even if I'm speaking Chinese, my friends will always be very territorial, and they'll be like, excuse me, he can speak Mandarin in Mandarin? Like, 他会中文，听见. Like, listen to him speak. And so there's a little like, this is my foreigner who can speak. And this immigration guard clearly was like, he can speak Chinese, okay? Terrence, get out of here. So Terrence walked away. And he was happy, and this was weird. I had a 10-year visa, and on this trip I entered into China, and my 10-year visa, I have unlimited entries, so I can go as many times as I want, and each time I enter, I get 60 days, so I can stay in 60 days, and then I'll have to go on a visa run, or I just go to the next country like usual. And my immigration guard told me, okay, 60 days. And I was like, whoa. But my passport, my visa expires in 13 days. So I know I have a 10-day visa. I actually want the full 13 days, but I don't think I get 60. And the immigration guard looked confused, which is going to happen. Immigration guards and officers, they don't know. I've had this so many times. Like, they're not up to date on they know the day. You know, it says 60 days on my visa. That's what this dude knows. And that's in many countries. I had my visa to India. That's not a tourist-rich country either. And they were very confused with the visa, with the official visa from the government. It took me 10 minutes to get past the immigration counter because they had to call people over, and they were just like, what even is this thing? He's not staying for 5 days. He wants to just stay here. And like, this is the document. And so this wasn't odd at all that I think he had the wrong thing, but he stamped me and he said, no, it's okay. It says 13, but since the visa is still valid, you have 60 days even past the end of your visa. And I was like, wow, that's so great. Thank you so much. Hey, maybe I'll stay 60 days. And they was like, thank you. Have a great day. And I was like, bye. And I walked past the immigration counter into China. And in my head, I was like, there's no way I'm staying past 13 days. No way am I risking that. Yes, the immigration officer told you that. Whatever the immigration officer tells you, never assume that it is like if you're supposed to get 90 days and the immigration officer is like, you have 30 days in the country. That is true. That they get to set that. They get to tell you how many days you're in the country. But if you know that the visa law in the country you're visiting allows for 10 days, and the guy says, hey, you have 40 days here, don't believe the officer. Unless the date is written on there and their signature is on there, which does happen in some countries still, but most of them don't do that, just go by the official posted things on the government's website, the dates you're allowed to be in there. If my visa expires in 14 days, I want 13 days. He is telling me I can stay 60 days. That is crazy and would be unique. That would be a very laissez-faire visa policy in the strictest authoritarian regime on the country, aside from like North Korea and Afghanistan, Iran, I guess. Like, it would be crazy if he was correct. And maybe he is, but there's no way I am risking overstaying my visa in any country. I never have, I never want to, but especially not in China, where they track and know everything ever. And I have a bunch of friends there. It's my favorite food in the world. I don't want to, it's advancing so much faster than any other country I've heard of. And I'm seeing these changes every year. I would be very bummed out if I couldn't visit there for some period of time or ever again, not see my friends again, just because I listened to an officer tell me I could stay 60 days when I cannot imagine why that would be the case. So I get into China. I'm excited to be there. And I'm very excited, actually. I'm just drooling thinking about all of the food. I'm like, 13 days. How much of this food can I fit into my body in 13 days? And I will tell you, it is a lot. Turns out I still have the capacity, which no one should be surprised by. You've heard these Ramble On episodes. Every single country I surprise myself, not really, by eating an absurd amount of food. But I'm like, oh my God, okay, so I have to eat huge tubs of spicy frog. I have to eat whole ducks. I have to eat bags of mango, dried mango. I have to eat 50,000 beers because I'm friends with a bunch of drinky drink friends. I have to get the jianbing for sure immediately, a savory crepe in Beijing. There's so many things I have to eat. And that's like all I'm thinking of because I'm in Beijing. I've been through this airport a billion times. Turns out they've changed everything again, and it's so easy now because my SIM card has made it easy. This is crazy. Okay, the credit card integration is already insane. There's no minimum, so literally a 2 cent, 1 cent transaction fee, which you could come across in China. That is a inexpensive country to live in. Charge that to my no-fee credit card. Great. It goes straight through their WeChat payment system instantly. And that works at the ticket machine for the bullet train into the city. It has never been that easy for me because they say they integrate foreign credit cards and debit cards into their national payment system. They have said that for almost a decade. Not true. I've never known anyone with a working integration in the 10 years it's been correct until this year. I heard before this trip that it is finally working for people. So I try to add my card again. It adds it like normal, then says it doesn't work. So I remove it, I add it again, and it says success. And I was like, excuse me? So I've never done this before, and I have been I lived there for 6.5 years. I visited Beijing multiple times the past 7 years since then, or however long. And all of a sudden, I am connected to the national payment system. All you have to do is register your credit card, add it to the WeChat app. That's it. And then you just scan QR codes, just like everybody else in the country scans QR codes. So all of a sudden, I'm connected to things like I've never been before. You don't need a physical card to ride subways and trains anymore. You scan the QR code with your phone, and that's it. It subtracts it. It is incredible to have that level of access that all my friends have had, because that's what the national payment system is. So what I was saying, 15 years ago, I showed up, everyone was still using cash. By the time I left, 6.5 years later, no, I guess 7.5 years later, because I took a year off to travel, whatever, it was 2019, and almost everyone had stopped using cash. They used QR codes. In the less than a decade, 7.5 years, they went from the entire country using cash, basically the entire country using it, to the entire country using QR codes. In 7 years, 1.5 billion people. That's quite a paradigm shift. Blew me away. I couldn't use it, but my friends were all using their QR codes by that time. And I was still using cash, and I like cash. It's very useful. Everyone always accepts cash. It's good if you just want to use cash, that's fine. Do that. But I like the next step. I'm always interested in the next thing, and I wanted to use QR codes, but I never could. When I had a bank account, I did, but I could never connect my foreign credit card to it. So after I shut down my bank account when I left in 2019, every time I visited since then, I would have to open up my bank account, and I never want to go to a Chinese bank again. They still take forever. I assume I haven't been there in a couple of years. And all of a sudden, I can use the QR code just like I had my old Chinese bank account, except I'm using my foreign credit card. So I'm getting cash back for every single purchase on my no-fee travel credit card, and it's instant. And it's now for everything. It's for the bike shares, so you can just boop, QR code, rent a bike, ride across the city for 5 hours, costs 15 yuan, which is about $2 for 5 hours renting a bicycle. And there's a cap on how much. It starts at like 2 renminbi, which is 30 cents roughly, and the cap is 15. After 15 renminbi, you can ride the bike infinite, and that's how much it is, 15 renminbi per day to rent a bicycle, $2 a day. And the bikes are good. I rode around for 5 hours multiple times. It's very convenient. Actually, my ID didn't get verified for the bicycles, but so my friends just zapped them. They just QR coded them for me. But if I had just applied for the ID verification early, I didn't apply for it until I was just about to leave Beijing. But if I had applied for it earlier, it works. It works for everybody. I saw plenty of foreigners riding bikes, so that's amazing. You can use your QR codes for the public buses, for the subways, for the tickets to and from the airport, for every single restaurant in China, for every single store in China. Everything uses QR codes attached to WhatsApp or Alipay, WeChat or Alipay. But everyone uses WeChat, so I just have that one. And it worked everywhere for everything. So here I am, I get off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is it going to work? I find out that my Japan SIM card, which is based in Hong Kong, automatically bypasses the Chinese Great Firewall, so there's no VPN I have to use. Another incredible convenience. I have this Japanese SIM card, and for the first time in my life, I don't have to use a VPN in China. I just have instant access to the actual internet, because it's based in a non-Chinese country, Hong Kong. So I just had real internet access. Just like if I was using a VPN, except I don't have to use a VPN. I don't have to circumvent the Great Firewall. I have a satellite link to another country. I'm an extra-national inside China. It was pretty cool to find that out. Okay, and now I can QR code everything. So I get out, I say bye to my immigration official friend. I scan that QR code. I get on the train. I bullet train to the city in 10 minutes, whatever, 30 miles away. It's so great. Travels at 300 kilometers an hour. I'm now in Beijing, my home, my second home, my adult home for sure. And I'm like, if this air didn't suck, I might be convinced to just stay here. But the air is bad, and so I'm only going to stay for a couple weeks. I make that decision. And my 13 days, especially, I don't want to screw up the visa thing like I was mentioning. But I get in there and I message my friends, I am here, and we're all happy and messaging each other. And then I reach into my pocket and realize I took a lighter on the plane. Never done that before in my life. But I didn't. Was it in my pocket? I can't remember now, but it was in my pocket or the back pocket, something like that. But the first time ever, I was looking for my charging cable, and I was like, what the? And I pulled out a lighter. And I was like, uh-oh, I didn't even know you could do that. You'd think they would notice. But I have been on 100 flights, so maybe statistically you get through now and then. Don't recommend. I do not recommend that. That's a bad idea. Don't do that. But that's so crazy, I thought I should mention it. Allegedly, unless anyone's paying attention, in which case I didn't do that at all. Oh man, and then I'm in Beijing again. It just feels so good to be back. I can read all the signs and I see the people, and it's been so long since I've been in a country other than the US where I can speak very comfortably. When I was in Central South America, my Spanish came back and I was like, I'm finally speaking to people like correctly again. But I land there, and while my Mandarin sucks, I can still talk to everyone and get my basic point across and understand them. So, and this is a country with all my favorite food and my favorite conveniences. And now I'm here again, and my conveniences are more convenient. My comfort is more comfortable. So I walk down the street. I decide to just walk from the airport from the subway station from the airport to my hotel, which is, I don't know. I don't know how far away it was. It was a couple miles, whatever. Oh no, you know what? I didn't even do that. The first day I got out of the subway station, I had to meet my friends because they're on the northeast of Beijing and I was staying in the southwest of Beijing. And the northeast is pretty far away from the southwest. It's like an easy 40 minutes on the subways. Beijing is a huge city. So I was like, I'm not going to see these guys a lot. I'll just see them the first day, and then I won't have to constantly take trips up there. And they're at a very inconvenient subway station. So to get from the southwest, I actually have to transfer at least twice to get to their neighborhood. So I was like, it'd be better when you come from the airport, you'll be in the northeast. Just see them now tonight. And then that's great. You'll have seen your friends. You don't have to subway up there the day after you get to the southwest city, subway all the way back up to the northeast. And it was fun. They took me to a chuar place, chuan chuan. It's like Chinese barbecue. So it's like Chinese meat skewers. And it's not my favorite Chinese barbecue place. I'm sorry, Sean, if you're listening. But it is pretty good. It's just not my style. Not my favorite style anyway. But we ate a bunch, but I was like exhausted because in Korea, I had been playing Expedition 33, that video game, a lot. And then I was walking like 5 hours a day. So I was pretty exhausted. And then it was a travel day. So I slept in the airports, but I landed in Beijing kind of tired. And then it was the evening and I was pretty tired. And then I went to dinner with these guys and it was really fun. We had a couple beers with him and his family and I had some food, but by 11, I was like, oh, well, I'm going to die soon. And luckily his kid was super tired too. Everybody around the table was getting tired. And usually I am just at a place, if I like it, I'm like, let's just stay here till 4 a.m. I'm fine. We'll just be here till 4 in the morning. But they were all getting tired, and I was like, hey, we're all getting tired, so let's go to bed. And they let me go to bed, luckily. But it was really fun seeing everyone, because I just saw them for their wedding like a month ago. It was crazy to see them again that soon, and just some of my best friends in the world right there. As a traveler, that's very nice to see someone a month later that I like to spend time with. And it was a very fun dinner. And then I got on the subway and I zoomed off to the southwest. I luckily got the last train and it stopped 2 subway stops before where I wanted to get off. But I like walking around Beijing and I feel very comfortable there. And, oh, you know what? On my way to meet them for that chuar, I actually had 2 different jianbings, the savory crepe pancake and 2 beers on the way there. Maybe that's why I was tired. because I'm walking down the street and I see jianbing, which is one of my favorite foods in China. And I just walk up, and I'm so curious if my credit card linked WeChat QR code payment scanner works correctly. And I talked to one, and I asked the guy, and I'm like, hey, I'm a foreigner speaking Mandarin. He's like, I don't care. And I was like, it's always funny to meet the one person in Beijing who doesn't care, because everyone else is like, what are you doing speaking Mandarin? But every now and then you'll run across someone who's like, I couldn't give a crap if you're not Chinese and can speak my language. Super rare in the country. Always funny to meet someone like that. Dude was just too cool for school. So I scanned it, works instantly. Goes through, I get my jianbing. I was like, well, that was nice. That's a very convenient payment system, more convenient than cash. So I go down to, I walk down the street and I was like, you know what I want with this jianbing? A beer. And I walk into a store, 这是多少钱? And she's like, 6块. And I was like, great, 6 kuai, 6 renminbi. And I take out the Yuba, the U8 new version of Yanjing beer that is less poisonous than the other ones. And I scan her QR code, it goes through instantly, and boop, and I get a little 83 cents, whatever, on my credit card automatic notification thing. Working perfect so far. And I'm gonna spoil it. It worked perfectly the entire time I was there. There was no problems, except for my ID verification for the bike, but that was just because I didn't apply for the bike app until the end of the trip. I didn't need it. But it just kept working. I got another jianbing and I got another beer at different stores. I got some dried mango. I did, like I mentioned. I got some pistachios. I got more beer from another store. I got hai tai, which is nori, the dried seaweed, because that is my favorite snack. I got a duck leg, which is a favorite snack from China, but the duck legs suck now. They all taste processed and crappy, so that was a real bummer to find out. I bet I could find a good brand if I kept looking, but ooh, duck neck though. The duck neck still tastes awesome, and they have more Fungan air-dried duck neck snacks now in Beijing, and they have snack-specific stores, which is really great. So you just go in there and you can buy like one packet of 20 different kinds of snacks and super cheap beer. And yeah, I bought a ton of things. I scanned my QR code every time. No matter what the price was, it just went through instantly, worked fine, just like I was swiping my credit card. Except it's the WeChat payment system that the entire nation uses. But it was just as convenient as it was more convenient than me using an actual credit card, which doesn't work with some banks, but there's only one payment system in China. So if it works once, it works every single time. So someone did message me on the in the Lemmy community, and they said that when they went to China, it didn't work for them. So if it's a business account, it always works. If it is a personal account, you cannot transfer directly, but you can like scan it from a distance, and that works sometimes. I don't know why, but I found that out. But yeah, if they have registered with a business, or if the personal person has a foreign credit card, you can transfer money to them. If they do not have a foreign credit card or have not registered with the international WeChat system, it does not work sometimes. But this guy who messaged me on Lemmy said they were having problems with some businesses, which I went to I must have made 500 transactions. I was constantly buying like 50 cents here, 70 cents here, and just like 50 trips to, literally in one day, I would do like 10 trips to the same place for one more beer if I'm sitting outside with my friend. So, and I never had any kind of issue. And I haven't heard of one with any of the people that I met in my hostel, any of the non-Chinese people. So it seems like the payment system is more integrated now than I have ever heard of it being. It was amazing and so convenient the entire time I was in Beijing. Okay, official. I went to buy vinegar because I had a private room. So I got to the hostel, 2 subway stops away from where I was. It's already past midnight, but there's still some snack places open. I probably got a beer. And they're about like half a mile apart, the subway stops. So it takes me a mile, 20 minutes with my rucksack, maybe walking carelessly, whimsically down the road, frolicking down the road, happy to be back. And I can't find the place, and I was like, oh no, because it's the first time I ever used Booking to book. Oh, no, I used Trip. I must have used Trip to book a hotel in China. I've never done that before. When I was living there, I just used cash. I walked up and talked to people and then gave them money. So using an online app to book a hotel was a new experience for me. But I did eventually find the place after walking around for a while. And I went up escalators and walked in. There was very pretty girls behind the desk. And I was like, hey, I'm checking in Mandarin. And they were like, great, give me your ID. I don't even know if I gave them my ID. I must have given them my passport or something. I cannot imagine I didn't. I gave them my ID and my reservation number, and they showed me to my room, and the light stopped working immediately. And I was like, cool, I get to go ask the pretty girls to help me. And I tried to fix the lights like 4 times because the fuse kept flipping, and I couldn't do it. And then I asked pretty girl to come help me. She walks in the room and turns it on and then just stays on. I was like, okay. And so every time after that, I just kept flicking the fuse up until the light stayed on, and that worked fine. Just had to, which is very Chinese. You just have an electricity supply that trips the fuses all the time, but if you just keep flipping the fuse back up, it'll work fine. Look, China has its problems still, and they're advancing so quickly that culture just doesn't have time to catch up. It's China, so I walk in and I'm like, oh man, there's still a faint smell of smoke, which means some of these MFers are smoking in their room, which is gross and don't do that. People don't do that in other countries, but China doesn't know that yet. So there are still, particularly the older generation, that smoke in their rooms in the non-smoking area. There are non-smoking signs every 2 feet in this hostel. And walking up the stairs one day, I see a guy smoking literally in front of and facing the no smoking sign. Not like looking at the sign, just like right next to it, just vacant eyes, just smoking in front of a giant, as big as his body, no smoking sign. They just don't, no smoking still has not caught on in China yet. It's more popular with the younger crowd, but not everybody. Oh my gosh, we're almost at an hour already. Okay, I get into my hostel. My room is pretty nice, but not the nicest because it is China. So there's no windows, but there is ventilation coming through the window, which is nice, except some of these MFers are smoking, so it's not perfectly clean, but it's pretty clean by Chinese standards especially. This is a clean room. I have a private toilet, a private shower, and a large queen-size bed and a work desk, and I'm pretty happy. It's, for some reason, expensive. For some reason, Chinese rooms are still expensive, and I don't understand why. Like, this room was $16 a night, a little over that, so that's almost $500 US a month. Hotels, as long as I have been in China, they have been expensive. 15 years ago, they were 100 yuan per night, which at that time was like 100 yuan? That's almost $20. That's like $16. That's crazy. And they're still $16, which is insane because if you've been listening to this podcast at all, one of the greatest things about China is that rent costs nothing. Rent costs $80 US for a studio apartment, or like if you're paying $400 US per month, you're buying a penthouse in an apartment building. Like, you're buying a nice house. So, but for some reason, hotels have always been expensive in Beijing. I guess that's just, I have no idea. That just must be the culture because they're not super nice. They're certainly not nicer than temporary living you can get in other countries for a quarter of the price. I really don't get that. And 16 was the cheapest in Beijing. The average, I would say, for like a budget traveler is $30 a night for a room, which is absurd, and you should never pay that. That is crazy. You should contact me and I will figure something out because I don't know what they are thinking. And everyone was talking when I was in Beijing. They're saying like so many people are leaving Beijing now because other cities are getting richer, so they don't have to move to Beijing to get a job. That, so the hotels need more, they're not charging as much. But the hotels I talked to, because I was like, my room, this is a crazy amount. Especially if I'm staying there longer, like for a week or something, I should be able to negotiate lower. I talked to a few hotels and they were all booked up full. And these were like 100 different rooms. All the young people in China, it seems like these are Chinese people renting these youth hostels. It seems like they just either, I don't know, they don't have family in that city that they're moving to, or they just have no way. That's the thing. They're so dependent on the systems created by China that they don't think it's weird. They only have one option, that they can only go on Ctrip to find everything. They have no other. It's not like they have booking.com, hotels.com, Agoda, Airbnb, and all this stuff. Those things are all banned. They have one choice. They have to go on Ctrip or WeChat, which is Ctrip, and find a hotel in that option. They have to pay whatever it says because they only have that one option. So they just don't, they wouldn't even think of going into the city, walking around looking for a bianguan, like a youth hostel, and just asking how much the money is, because that's not what the government tells you to do, and that's not what culture tells you to do in China. Culture's like, yeah, use the app. Use the app that everybody uses and pay whatever they ask. That's how it works. Okay, I'm in China. It's been an hour. I'll talk. I got so much China stuff to talk about. I had a great time, and there's much more to talk about. I will talk to you soon. You can talk to me at bitofarambler@gmail.com or bitofarambler on Blue Sky and Lemmy. I'm just hanging out. I hope you're having a great day. I will talk to you soon.